let's start with something basic, apple pie blondies. Oh, the smell of apples baking or cooking combined with cinnamon, these blondies are just stunning. And it starts with the apple filling, the center of the blondies. And I like to use a tart apple. You could use a Granny Smith, a Mutsu, something along those lines that really kind of punches that apple flavor forward. I use about 3 apples, so in total, 3 cups. And I'll just loosely measure a 1/4 cup of butter. I'll start this heating on medium, and I need some brown sugar, 1/4 cup. It's the combination of the juices from the apple, the brown sugar, and the butter together that make this sauce. And now for those apple pie spices, a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and a 1/4 teaspoon each of nutmeg and ground allspice. To round everything out, a loose 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. You don't have to measure that part. Apples change through the course of their season. When they're first harvested in the fall, they're really juicy and they cook out a lot of liquid. But as they sit and are stored over the winter, well, of course, they're not quite as juicy. Now, I just simmer that away for 15 minutes, and once it's cooled, this is the amazing part. You can see how the pectin has really thickened up the sauce. I'll set that aside and start the blondie base. I have 1 cup of unsalted butter here, softened to room temperature. I need 1½ cups of light brown sugar. I'm creaming the butter and sugar together, but I'm not looking for a fluffy texture. This is about making sort of a dense, moist, sweet base to hold the apple filling. Once you no longer see streaks of butter, you can then add the eggs. My eggs are at room temperature simply because they're easier to mix in. A cold egg would sort of set up the butter again, and you're just giving yourself more work. First egg is blended in, so I can add the second. There we go. Now a splash of vanilla, a teaspoon, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and ½ a teaspoon each of ground cinnamon and salt. You'll find that this batter is the same consistency as a cookie dough, except the way it bakes up is with a bit of crispness on the outside, but it's got this soft, sweet center. I want to scoop out about a cup. You can measure it if you really want to, but again, this is kind of a rough measurement. By adding 3/4 of a cup of oats to this 1 cup of the blondie base, I'm actually making an apple crisp topping for my squares. There we go. So I've got my oat topping, my blondie base, and the apple filling for the center. I've taken an 8-inch square pan, greased it lightly, and lined it with parchment. Now I'll scoop the blondie base into the bottom of the pan, press it a little bit, but then I find it's easiest to just get in there with your fingers to press it into the bottom of the pan. Go, now I know it's in each of the corners nicely. Now the apple layer goes right on top. And take a moment to spread it evenly across the base. And then lastly, this crumble topping. Just like making an apple crisp, I just arrange little pieces on top. It's such a simple recipe, but really, it's kind of kooky. You've got an apple pie, a square, and a crisp all in one pan. Now I'll pop this into my 375 oven and let it bake for about 35 minutes. That sets the base, and when you see a nice golden brown top to your crisp topping, you're all set. Doesn't this look incredible? When I pull it out of the oven, I like to cool it to room temperature, then I pop it in the fridge, because that way I find I get nice, clean slices. These are rich because of that blondie base. So what I'll do is cut each large square into a triangle. And it's your choice if you want a little whipped cream, maybe a bit of caramel sauce, or there is always the cheddar cheese option. Goes well with a slice of apple pie. You've got that blondie base with its sweetness, the apple layer with the cinnamon, and then of course the crisp crumble topping with the oats, cheddar cheese too. If I closed my eyes, I'd think I was eating apple pie.